The void around Earth was filled with light. Thousands of alien warships hovered beyond the moon, their hulls burning with symbols of the Galactic Empire. Each ship was a fortress, towering, armored, and bristling with weapons that had conquered 100 worlds. They came to deliver a message of power, and the entire planet below was silent. Watching, from the high-orbit station Elysium, Admiral Grant stood before the wide glass wall, his reflection trembling against the stars. "That's the largest fleet I've ever seen," one of his officers whispered. "They could vaporize the planet if they wanted to." Grant didn't answer. He only watched as the alien ships aligned in perfect formation. He had seen this pattern before. Years ago in military archives, ancient records from worlds that had fallen under the Empire's rule. First came the message, then came the fire, but this time was different. This time, they faced Earth. The transmission began. A shimmering figure appeared before the human command deck, its form tall and insect-like, eyes glowing like molten glass. It was the High Chancellor of the Galactic Empire. His voice, translated through the ship's systems, echoed through every speaker on the orbital station across every major city, and through the feeds of billions of humans watching from their homes. "Humans of soul," the Chancellor said. "You have expanded beyond your assigned territories. You have claimed worlds under Imperial jurisdiction. By decree of the Galactic Council, you stand in violation of interstellar law. You are to surrender all colonies and resources, or the Empire will bring destruction upon your world." There was a pause. Everyone expected Grant to respond, to argue or plead, as most civilizations did when faced with such power. But instead he pressed the intercom and spoke softly. "Transmit this to the Chancellor." The message was short. "Proceed if you must." For a long moment, no one breathed. The alien fleets adjusted, shifting their positions, scanning for hidden defenses. But the humans didn't react. There were no raised shields, no panic transmissions, no evacuation orders. Earth remained calm, cities alive with normal life below the clouds. It was as if humanity hadn't noticed the Empire at all. The Chancellor leaned forward in the projection, his voice sharp. "Do you understand the meaning of this declaration?" Grant looked straight at the hologram. "Perfectly." Silence. Then the feed cut. In the command deck, the tension broke into whispers. Officers exchanged looks of disbelief. "Admiral, they're not bluffing," one said. "That's a full war fleet." We can," Grant interrupted. "They think we'll beg." "They're wrong." Far beneath the orbiting station, deep inside the Earth Defense Corps, invisible signals began to pulse through the planet's hidden network. Automated defense platforms woke from hibernation. Quantum relays connected the solar system's silent guardians, ships without crews, hidden in asteroid shadows and dark orbits beyond Neptune. Humanity had been preparing for this day long before the Council's warning. In the Galactic Council chamber, millions of light years away, the Empire's delegates sat in a towering arena of light and glass. The holographic feed from Earth still glimmered in the air before them. Alien representatives from dozens of worlds whispered among themselves. "Humans are reckless. They think their machines will save them. Every empire that challenged, the Council burned." The Chancellor raised a clawed hand to silence them. "Then let them burn." He turned toward his military attaché. "Deploy the Vanguard fleet. End this before their arrogance spreads." Within hours, massive warships exited hyperspace near Mars. The lead vessel, the Sovereign Flame, began charging its weapons. The Empire expected fear. Instead, they were met with emptiness. The human channels were silent. No distress calls, no surrender signals, only the quiet hum of orbital satellites tracking them. Then something strange happened. The Sovereign Flame's targeting systems began to fail. First one, then another. Communication scrambled, navigation drifted off course. Within minutes, entire clusters of Imperial ships found themselves lost in their own formation. The Admiral aboard the Sovereign Flame slammed a clawed hand on the console. "Identify interference source." "There is none," replied his crew. "The readings are normal except the space around us is changing." They didn't realize the truth until it was too late. Humanity wasn't jamming them. The humans were bending. their sensors using real-time gravitational lensing from Earth's satellites. The Imperial fleet was inside a distorted field, unable to distinguish distance or direction. From the Elysium command station, Admiral Grant watched silently as holographic dots flickered across the tactical display. The alien fleet had entered the trap. "Activate the mirror protocol," he said. Across the solar system, an invisible net came alive. Thousands of microsatellites reflected and amplified gravitational signals, creating phantom echoes of planetary bodies and false heat signatures. To the Empire's fleet, it looked like hundreds of human warships had emerged from hyperspace, surrounding them completely. "Human ships detected," the alien officer shouted. "Thousands, no, tens of thousands." The Imperial Admiral's mandibles clicked in disbelief. "That's impossible. Their records show fewer than 200 defense craft." Then the Phantom fleet fired. The sensors registered impacts everywhere. The aliens' shields flared, alarms screamed, and confusion consumed their command centers. Ships collided, mistaking allies for enemies, but from Earth not a single real weapon had been fired. The humans were still watching, still silent. Minutes later, all transmissions from the Imperial fleet ceased. No debris was visible, no wreckage detected. The fleet had vanished as if erased from existence. Only the quiet light of the moon remained. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light. The Empire had lost 50 ships, without a battle, without resistance. The Council demanded answers, but none came. Their fleets were the strongest in known space, yet they had fallen before a species barely out of its cradle. On Earth, the public carried on as usual. Children went to school. Workers returned to factories. News channels joked about cosmic fireworks caught on lunar sensors. Humanity didn't celebrate. They didn't boast. They didn't even acknowledge the Empire's message. Deep inside the Defense Corps, Admiral Grant met with Earth's prime commander, a woman named Elena Ward. She stood before the holographic map of the solar system, her eyes steady. "They'll come again," she said. Grant nodded. "Let them. They'll find nothing left to threaten." Ward looked out the window, where the faint glow of the destroyed fleet's last transmission shimmered across the horizon. "They don't understand what we are yet," she said quietly. "They think we're just another young race trying to survive." Grant folded his arms. "They'll learn soon enough." In the following days, the Galactic Council convened an emergency summit. The High Chancellor raged, his metallic claws cutting through the air. "An entire fleet does not vanish. Find the cause!" he shouted. The analysts presented the only data they had: fragmented signals, corrupted visuals, and one final voice transmission, static-filled but unmistakably human. It said just 3 words before cutting out, "Target neutralized. Proceed." The chamber fell into silence. Every representative stared at the image of Earth on the holographic screen. No one dared speak. Meanwhile, back in Sol's system, Admiral Grant stood again at the glass window of the Elysium station, gazing at the stars. "They think we're playing defense," he murmured to himself. "They still haven't realized they're already inside our field." Beneath the calm blue of Earth's oceans, deep storage vaults hummed to life. The planet's hidden armory, thousands of AI-guided ships slowly activated, awaiting orders. From the quiet darkness of space, a single transmission left Earth's orbit, bouncing through encrypted relays until it reached every human colony across the stars. It contained no fear, no command for surrender. Only one line: the Empire declared war. Prepare the next phase. And somewhere beyond the moon, in the cold silence of the void, humanity watched the stars move, patient, calculating, and utterly unafraid. The void above the red world of Arctis burned with light as the Galactic Empire's warfleet arrived. 1,000 ships, their metallic hulls reflecting the cold glow of the twin suns, came in waves that stretched across the horizon. Each ship was armed with cannons large enough to destroy continents. They came to make an example of Earth, to crush its rising defiance once and for all. At the center of the fleet, Grand Admiral Vorex stood before the command screen. His voice carried through every ship. "Humanity has mocked the Empire. They destroyed our first fleet and dared to remain silent. Today, we erase them from the stars. his officers shouted in unison, their claws clattering against their control panels. The order was given. Engines flared, weapons charged, and hyperspace tunnels opened like glowing scars in the dark. The entire fleet jumped toward the solar system, but something went wrong. The fleet entered hyperspace, and then everything began to twist. Sensors malfunctioned, navigation lights flickered, and half the ships vanished from the command network. The admiral's second-in-command shouted, "We are off course! The coordinates are collapsing!" Vorax gripped the edge of the console. "Impossible. Our charts are perfect." Outside the viewing port, hyperspace itself seemed to ripple, distorting into strange, spiraling patterns. The colors were wrong. The shapes were impossible. For a moment, it looked as if the fleet was falling into an endless tunnel with no exit. Then, one by one, their signals disappeared. On the edge of the solar system, in a hidden command post inside Neptune's orbit, Captain Lyra watched the incoming readings. Her face was calm, her voice steady. "The Empire's fleet has entered the trap. Activate the phase mirrors." Thousands of invisible satellites, long dormant, came online. They bent light, energy, and even gravity. To the Empire's fleet, it looked as if the solar system had fractured into countless reflections. Multiple Earths, multiple suns, multiple moons. No matter where they turned, the readings lied. "Send the signal to the Defense Corps," Lyra said. On Earth, deep beneath the mountains, Commander Tate received the message. "They've arrived," he said. "Activate Sentinel Command." In the dark space beyond Mars, human fleets began to move. They were smaller than the alien ships, sleek, dark, and silent. Their engines emitted no visible glow. The ships carried no insignias, no color. They didn't announce their presence. They simply appeared, surrounding the disoriented Empire fleet like shadows. The alien sensors couldn't detect them. Every signal was reflected, scattered, and looped through hundreds of false coordinates. The Empire's captains fired in panic, believing they were under attack, their own shots bouncing back against their allies. Explosions tore through their own formation. From her command deck, Lyra watched calmly. "They're fighting ghosts," she murmured. A junior officer asked, "Should we engage?" Lyra shook her head. "Not yet. They haven't realized what they're fighting." Inside his flagship, Admiral Vorax roared in fury. "Find them! Find the humans!" But his crew couldn't. The readings were chaos. Targets appeared, vanished, and reappeared. Every signal showed an entire human fleet, thousands of ships all around them. Yet not one real vessel had fired. The Empire's ships collided in confusion, shields flashing, communication lines filled with desperate screams. One after another, they began to fall apart under their own fire, and then in the middle of the chaos, humanity struck. From the shadows of Neptune, 3 human dreadnoughts broke cloak. They moved faster than any alien ship could track, firing streams of kinetic projectiles that tore through armor like paper. In less than 10 minutes, 50 alien cruisers were gone. The Empire's fleet tried to regroup, but their own network was compromised. The humans had released a silent virus into the hyperspace relay during the first contact weeks ago. Every Imperial ship's targeting system, every navigation chart, every command frequency was already infected. Inside the council chambers across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. The Empire's entire vanguard fleet, the pride of the galaxy, was under attack and losing to a species that had been considered primitive only decades before. Council members watched in disbelief as holograms displayed the chaos in real time. Alien diplomats shouted over one another, "This is impossible! Humans do not possess such power!" The council's high speaker, an ancient being with eyes like molten gold, spoke slowly. "If this continues, the Empire will fall. Perhaps the humans were not the prey we thought them to be. Back in the solar system, the battle was ending. Out of the 1,000 ships that had entered, only a few hundred remained. The rest were drifting wrecks or shattered debris. Admiral Vorax's ship was one of the last standing. His bridge was filled with smoke and sparks. "Retreat!" he shouted. "Pull us out of this cursed system!" But when his ship attempted to jump, the engines failed. Every hyperspace route was blocked. The coordinates had been rewritten. A human voice came through the comm system, calm and quiet. This is Captain Lyra of the Earth Defense Command. You entered Sol without permission. You will surrender your fleet, Vorex snarled. You dare demand terms from me? I am the sword of the Empire. Not anymore, she replied. And then, as if to prove it, the holographic screen showed something that froze every alien heart. The image of their own capital world, Arctis Prime, appeared under attack, but no human fleet had been sent there. It was their own ships, hijacked through the virus, firing on their own command center. Across the Empire, chaos spread. Military systems shut down, factories halted, and communication grids failed. Their databanks were erased one by one, replaced with a single symbol, a human hand holding a torch. The meaning was clear. Humanity wasn't just fighting with weapons. They were fighting with knowledge. Inside her command deck, Captain Lyra watched as the last of the Imperial ships surrendered. "Transmit the message," she ordered. Her communications officer nodded and opened the channel. "To all Galactic Council members," Lyra said, "the Empire has attacked Earth and failed. We request no tribute, no apology. But we warn this, if any power threatens humanity again, the next war will not end with surrender. It will end with silence." The transmission echoed across the galaxy. On the Council homeworld, fear spread like wildfire. The alien empires that had once viewed humans as reckless newcomers now saw them as something else, something far more dangerous. A species that fought wars as if they were solving a problem. A species that didn't fear death, or power, or the unknown. Weeks later, as the wreckage of the Imperial fleet drifted beyond Mars, human engineers began collecting data from the remains. Every piece of alien technology was studied, copied, and improved. Humanity didn't waste victories. They learned from them. In the end, the Empire's survivors limped back to their territory, their once proud war banners burned and forgotten. They had declared war expecting conquest, but all they had gained was humiliation. On Earth, life continued as normal. Cities glowed under soft skies, children played, and the world moved forward. News networks discussed the incident as if it were a minor event, a border skirmish. In a quiet office overlooking the Atlantic, Commander Tate reviewed the final reports. He leaned back in his chair, a faint smile crossing his face. "The Empire sent 1,000 ships," he said quietly. "We barely had to lift a finger." He turned off the screen, leaving the room dark except for the faint light of Earth's moon outside the window. Somewhere out there, beyond the edge of the galaxy, the remaining fleets of the Empire gathered again, desperate to restore their honor. But the humans didn't care. They were already watching new stars, new frontiers, always moving forward, always prepared. The galaxy trembled at their name, while Earth remained calm. The Empire had declared war, and humanity barely noticed. The wreckage of 1,000 alien ships drifted in the darkness beyond Mars. Twisted metal, shattered engines, and drifting bodies of strange beings floated silently. The battle had ended weeks ago, but the Empire's arrogance had not. Across the galaxy, its rulers swore revenge. The Council demanded order, the fleets prepared, and every species held its breath. Humanity had embarrassed the oldest power in the stars, and now the galaxy waited to see how Earth would answer the next strike. Far beyond the solar system, in the black between suns, the remnants of the Imperial Navy gathered. Hundreds of warships floated in tight formation. Their commander, High Admiral Varn, paced before a large viewing panel. "They use tricks and deception," he growled. "They have no true strength. This time we strike with precision. We hit their colonies, not their homeworld. Earth will watch its children burn." His officers nodded, but none spoke with confidence. Everyone had heard the stories. Fleets vanishing without firing a shot. Systems going dark the moment humans appeared. The Empire's pride had been wounded deeply, and fear now haunted its admirals. "Begin the hyperspace calibration," Varn ordered. "Target the human colony at Delta Eos, wipe it clean." His flagship's engines roared. The rest of the fleet followed, hundreds of ships stretching into blue light as hyperspace tunnels opened. They entered one by one, and then silence. Minutes passed, hours, no exit signals appeared. The fleet never arrived. On Earth, in the quiet command center beneath the Pacific, Director Hall stood before a massive display. Streams of data scrolled down the screen, distorted energy readings, hyperspace tremors, and faint signals of the lost fleet. "That's the third one," said Commander Ross beside her. "Every time they jump toward our colonies, the same thing happens." Hall crossed her arms. The lattice worked again. "They tried to attack through our gravitational corridors, but the field folded on itself before they could complete transit." "So they're gone?" Ross asked. "Not gone," Hall replied. "Trapped between real space and hyperspace. They'll drift there forever." Ross stared at the glowing lines on the screen, realizing what she meant. "We just turned hyperspace into a cage." In the council chamber on the capital world of Ceron, chaos erupted. Every alien delegate screamed at once. "Entire fleets cannot just vanish," one shouted. "They have found a weapon beyond our understanding," yelled another. The high speaker silenced them with a booming voice. "Humanity has violated the laws of cosmic travel. They are manipulating the very structure of the galaxy itself. They must be stopped," hissed an elder from the Andrax Dominion. "Before they rewrite the stars!" The council voted for an emergency sanction against Earth. But even as they spoke, their long-range networks began to fail. Communication relays stopped responding. Energy lines flickered. Something unseen was spreading through their systems, quietly erasing every connection that linked them to the Empire's core. Back on Earth, Director Hall watched as the data stream from the galaxy grew emptier. "They're starting to notice," she said. "Good, let them." Ross frowned. "Are we sure about this? Cutting off every signal? We're isolating half the galaxy." "That's the point," she answered. "The Empire feeds on fear. Take away their voice and they're nothing but ghosts." Meanwhile, in a small outpost on a distant moon, a captured Imperial officer sat in a reinforced cell. His name was Krell. His mandibles twitched as he stared at the human interrogator, a young woman named Captain Vega. "You cannot hold us forever," Krell hissed. "The Empire will come for me." "They already did," Vega said quietly. "And they're not coming back," Krell blinked. "You lie." She turned the screen toward him. It showed the Empire's star maps, crossed out one by one, systems going dark. "You think we fight with guns?" she said. "But we fight with information. Your fleets run on networks. Your weapons depend on central control. You handed us the keys when you broadcast your threat to Earth." Krell's breathing quickened. "You infiltrated the council?" Vega smiled faintly. "No, we just listened." For the first time, the alien looked afraid. "What are you?" he whispered. "Human," Vega said simply. "And that's enough." Across the galaxy, entire colonies began to rebel against the Empire. Species long enslaved received human transmissions offering help, medicine, and freedom. Cargo ships with Earth's markings appeared on distant worlds, bringing food and water. The humans didn't invade, they liberated. The Empire's rule began to crumble. Planets switched allegiance overnight, replacing imperial banners with the simple emblem of Earth's united star. At the same time, a storm was building near the galactic core. The Emperor himself had vanished from public sight. Rumors spread of a weapon, something ancient, capable of collapsing whole star systems. On Earth, Director Hall called a meeting of the Global Command Council. "We have a decision to make," she said. "We can end this now, or wait for the Empire to destroy itself." Commander Ross spoke first. "If we strike, we risk showing our full strength. If we wait, others may think we're weak." Hall looked out the window toward the night sky. "Strength isn't about showing power. It's about knowing when you don't need to." While they debated, the Council's probes recorded new readings from the galactic core, massive energy signatures forming inside a hidden region. The Empire was preparing its final strike. And then, unexpectedly, transmissions from across the galaxy began flooding Earth's network. Alien leaders once loyal to the Empire were begging for alliance. "Help us," they said. "We will join you. Just keep the Empire from unleashing that weapon." Humanity agreed, but under one condition. "You will govern yourselves," the message read. "We don't want your worlds. We want peace." For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy saw a power rise that didn't seek conquest. The idea spread faster than any weapon. The humans weren't fighting for territory. They were fighting for stability. A week later, the Imperial core systems went silent. No ships left their docks. No messages left their planets. The once golden empire had turned to dust. On the dark side of Earth's moon, Commander Ross met Director Hall in a hidden observation post. The room overlooked Earth's glow below. "It's strange," he said. "We won a war we never really fought." Hall nodded slowly. "That's what they'll never understand. We didn't win with weapons. We won with patience." Ross turned toward her. "And if the Empire returns?" She looked up at the stars. "Then we'll remind them again." For months, the galaxy remained silent. No fleets moved, no threats came. In the quiet that followed, humanity grew even stronger. Their colonies thrived. Their technology advanced beyond what any alien species could imagine. But deep in the abandoned ruins of the Imperial core, a faint pulse began to beat again. Sensors hidden on the edge of known space detected it, a single signal repeating endlessly. Ross studied the transmission from his office. "Is it a distress call?" he asked. "No," replied his analyst. "It's coordinates." He leaned closer. "To where?" The analyst hesitated. "To Earth." The room went silent. The signal was old, ancient even, but perfectly coded. It came from the same technology humans had just dismantled. Ross looked up at the stars through the glass window. "So they're not done yet," he said softly. Hall's voice came through his communicator. "Prepare the fleet. Quietly. If they're coming, we'll be ready." As the signal continued pulsing in the dark, humanity began to move once more, silently, efficiently, without fear. The galaxy's other races watched in awe and unease. They whispered the same words across their channels in thousands of languages. The Empire declared war, and humanity hardly cared. The sky above Earth's orbit glowed red as 1,000 alien warships arrived in formation. Each ship was colossal, dark metal bodies bristling with weapons that could split moons apart. Their leader, Admiral Varric of the Galactic Empire, stared through his flagship's viewport, his reptilian eyes narrowing at the sight of the blue planet below. He could see Earth's orbital defenses lighting up, small compared to his fleet, yet perfectly organized. "Begin bombardment," he ordered. But before his words could echo through the bridge, the holographic display flickered. Earth's fleet had vanished. For 5 tense seconds, nothing moved. Then a ripple of light distorted space just behind the alien armada. The human ships reappeared, silent, massive, and coldly precise. No announcement. No warning, just action. The first alien destroyer vanished in a single flash of blue light, erased by a human rail beam that left no debris. Varric's command ship trembled as sensors went blind. The human fleet had jammed their systems completely. His second-in-command shouted that all targeting systems were dead. The aliens couldn't even lock onto their enemies. The humans had learned how to disappear, reappear, and strike with terrifying efficiency. The first 5 minutes were chaos. Alien ships fired blindly into empty space, their plasma bolts streaking through the void. The humans danced between the blasts like predators playing with prey. Every move was deliberate, calculated. Earth's fleet wasn't just surviving, it was studying them, learning, adapting mid-battle. Within minutes, the entire alien formation began to collapse inward. Admiral Varric realized too late, humanity had never cared about intimidation or numbers. They cared about results, and results were all they delivered. Back on Earth, General Reeves watched the battle unfold through a holographic projection in the United Defense Command bunker. "Status?" he asked. His voice was calm, steady, as if he were observing a simple exercise. Commander Imani replied, "Enemy fleet down by 12%. No losses on our side." Reeves nodded. "Maintain pattern Delta. Let them think we're retreating." The human fleet suddenly began to pull back, fading into the shadow of the moon. The alien armada roared forward, eager for victory, chasing what they thought was fear. But behind the moon, thousands of hidden launch bays opened. Swarms of stealth drones emerged, silent and invisible. Each one carried miniature warp destabilizers, devices humanity had invented in secret. They could rip space apart in small bursts, enough to disable engines or tear through shields. Within moments, the alien formation's rear ships started to twist unnaturally. Their engines flared, failed, and imploded. Explosions rippled through the backlines, spreading confusion. The humans attacked from all directions now. Reeves watched as red dots disappeared from the projection one after another. "Do not aim to destroy," he ordered. "Target propulsion. Make them drift." Humanity wasn't after victory. They were sending a message. Hours passed before the alien command fleet managed to regroup. What remained of the Empire's mighty armada now floated in disarray. Communications were broken. Varric's ship was surrounded by static, his once proud bridge now filled with smoke. He stared at the tactical map that showed Earth still standing, untouched, indifferent to the chaos above it. "They are ignoring us," said his science officer in disbelief. "They're not pursuing, not responding to hails." Varric clenched his claws. "No, they're studying us. Every move we make, they learn. Every tactic, they counter." On the human side, Reeves stood beside an old metal plaque hanging on the wall of command. "We fight only when there is no other choice." Humanity had been underestimated for centuries, dismissed as primitive newcomers. But humans didn't play by the same rules. They didn't fight for conquest or tribute. They fought for survival, and that made them unstoppable. The Galactic Council received the news hours later. The Empire's representative shouted in disbelief as the recording of the battle played across the chamber. Dozens of alien ambassadors whispered in confusion and fear. One of them, a crystalline diplomat from the Lyra system, muttered, "They disabled an entire Imperial fleet," and barely lifted a hand. Earth's ambassador, a calm man named Elias Ward, stood silently as the Council demanded answers. "What kind of weapons did your species deploy?" One delegate demanded. "Are you harboring forbidden technology?" Elias looked at them, expression unreadable. "No, we simply prepared." The Council erupted in protests. "You prepared for war with the Empire?" "No," Elias said. "We prepared for being underestimated." At that moment, a new transmission interrupted the session. It came directly from the remains of the Empire's fleet. The council chamber went quiet as Admiral Varric's face appeared on the central display. His armor was scorched, his voice low and shaken. "Council members," he said, "withdraw the declaration of war immediately. Humanity is not an opponent, they are a catastrophe. If you value your worlds, do not provoke them again." The chamber fell into silence. Even the most arrogant races had no response. The Empire had been the Council's enforcer for centuries, and now its commander was warning them not to anger a single planet. Back on Earth, Reeves watched the final alien ships retreat into hyperspace. The officers around him cheered, but his expression remained thoughtful. "They'll be back," he said quietly. "But next time they won't come in ships." Imani frowned. "What do you mean?" "They'll come in politics, trade, law. They'll try to isolate us, make us fold without firing a shot." He turned to the holographic projection of Earth slowly spinning before him. "That's fine. Let them try." Weeks later, the galaxy was still buzzing. News networks across hundreds of systems repeated the same phrase over and over. The Empire declared war. Humanity hardly cared. Traders and mercenaries began whispering about Earth's mysterious technology, ships that disappeared from sensors, weapons that struck faster than thought, fleets that moved like living things. But what no one knew was that humanity hadn't even used their full arsenal. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a secret facility, engineers monitored something far greater, a massive machine pulsing with faint light. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It was a deterrent, a shield of last resort capable of bending entire regions of space-time. Reeves visited it only once, and as he stood before it, he whispered, "Let's hope they never make us use you." But word of Earth's quiet victory spread. Small colonies began reaching out to humanity for protection. Neutral systems requested trade. Even former allies of the Empire began to reconsider their loyalty. Humanity's calm indifference was doing what no army could, shifting the balance of power across the galaxy. Still, in the depths of space, a shadow moved. The Empire wasn't done. Their pride was wounded, their resources vast. They began constructing something monstrous, a fleet designed not just to conquer, but to erase, And as the Council debated peace treaties, and the galaxy tried to understand Earth's calm defiance, one message traveled faster than any signal. Humanity was no longer just another species. They were the variable no one could predict. The storm had only begun. The stars vanished as an enormous shadow covered Earth's orbit. Every major observatory and defense satellite went silent. For a moment, the planet itself seemed to stop breathing. Above the clouds, where night met the edge of dawn, a massive alien structure materialized. A ring-shaped fortress so large it could eclipse the moon. It was not a fleet. It was a weapon. The Galactic Empire had returned, and this time, they had brought something built to erase humanity completely. Inside the Earth Defense Command bunker, alarms echoed through every corridor. General Reeves stood before the holographic display, watching the structure's slow rotation. "They're not here to conquer," he said quietly. "They're here to end us." Commander Imani turned to him, pale. "That ring, it's generating a gravitational field. They're trying to collapse our orbit." Reeves nodded. "They're going to make Earth destroy itself." On the surface, across cities, people watched the sky light up with strange auroras. Communication networks began to distort. Satellites fell out of orbit. Panic spread across the globe. Humanity had known the Empire would return, but no one expected this level of vengeance. Yet amid the fear, the world did not surrender. They remembered what they had done before. Humanity did not bow. It prepared. The first 5 minutes were pure terror. From orbit, the alien fortress fired a pulse beam directly into the Pacific Ocean. The water boiled for hundreds of miles. The shockwave reached every coast. The aliens sent no demands, no communication, only silence. But as their second shot charged, the Earth's surface came alive with a synchronized energy surge. Massive shield grids powered up across continents. The pulse struck again, but this time it hit something invisible. The beam scattered harmlessly into space. "Shields are holding," Imani shouted. Reeves exhaled. "Good. Phase 2 begins now." In low orbit, hundreds of human ships emerged from stealth fields. Unlike before, these were not warships in the traditional sense. They were carriers, projectors, and relay nodes linked through a global network. Humanity had turned its planet into a weapon. Their goal was not to attack, but to make the enemy's weapon useless. Deep in the alien fortress, Admiral Varick's successor, Commander Krell, stared at his monitors in disbelief. "Their planet has a defense matrix," he growled. "They're using atmospheric resonance to scatter our energy beams." His science officer turned in panic. "That's impossible." "No world has that technology." Krell slammed his fist against the console. "Then they stole it. Increase power. Overload their defenses." The fortress glowed brighter, charging a full planetary strike. Back on Earth, Reeves knew what was coming. "We won't hold another hit," Imani warned. Reeves nodded. "That's fine. We won't need to." He turned to a console marked ARC Protocol. It had one purpose: to bend the battlefield itself. Reeves gave the order. "Activate the lattice." The signal raced through relay satellites, then to lunar stations, then to the deep space probes humanity had planted years earlier. The probes began transmitting gravitational distortions toward the alien fortress. Space itself began to twist. Krell's ship started drifting off course, pulled by invisible forces. His engineers screamed as their engines failed to compensate. "It's like gravity itself is folding around us." Then they saw it. Earth's orbit shifting slightly, just enough to reflect sunlight toward the fortress in a concentrated arc. The humans were using their own star as a weapon. The fortress's hull began to heat. Their shields flickered. The temperature rose beyond control. Krell ordered a retreat, but the warp drives refused to engage. Humanity had trapped them inside a distortion field of their own making. On the ground, Reeves watched the data flood in. "It's working," Imani whispered. "The solar reflection is breaking their armor." Reeves looked up at the burning sky. "End it." Thousands of drones launched from every continent, piercing through the atmosphere in streaks of light. Each drone carried a single kinetic rod. No explosives, no radiation, just pure speed. They accelerated to hypersonic velocity and struck the fortress's weakened structure. The sound didn't reach Earth, but the light did. A blinding flash tore through the morning sky. The alien fortress split apart, pieces falling like dying stars into the ocean. Humanity had once again defended its home, not through sheer force, but through unrelenting ingenuity. In the aftermath, the Galactic Council met once more. The chamber was filled with silence. Every race watched the holographic recording of the fortress's destruction. "They destroyed the Empire's ultimate weapon," one delegate whispered. "And their planet still stands." Elias Ward, Earth's ambassador, stood again before them. He looked calm, though exhaustion shadowed his face. "You wanted proof of our threat," he said softly. "Now you have it. We do not seek war, but we will not allow anyone to dictate our survival," the council murmured, torn between fear and respect. "And what will humanity do now?" someone asked. Elias smiled faintly. "We rebuild, and then we explore. You've spent centuries trying to dominate the stars. We'll spend the next ones understanding them." As he left the chamber, whispers followed. The phrase that had once sounded like arrogance now echoed like prophecy. The galaxy declared war, and humanity hardly cared. But on Earth, the celebration was quiet. Reeves stood on the shore of what was once part of the Pacific. The water glowed faintly from the aftermath of the strike. He looked toward the horizon where the sky was still red. "We won again," Imani said beside him. "But it doesn't feel like victory." Reeves nodded slowly. "Because we learned something today. They'll never stop fearing us now, and fear makes desperate enemies." From orbit, drones collected fragments of the alien fortress. Some of them contained unknown energy signatures, pieces of a technology even humans couldn't understand yet. The engineers studying them grew silent when they realized what they were looking at: self-replicating molecular structures designed to rebuild themselves. The fortress had been alive. Reeves received the report hours later. He didn't speak for a long time. Finally, he said, "Send it to the research division and seal the facility." Months passed. Earth rebuilt, strengthened, unified. The Council cautiously opened communication, eager to negotiate peace treaties. But among the shadows of Earth's new orbital defenses, something else was stirring. The fragments of the alien fortress were being studied deep underground, away from the public eye. Humanity was not just defending anymore, it was evolving. In the darkness of the lab, an engineer whispered to another, "Do you think we should use it?" Her colleague hesitated. "Use it for what?" "To go further," she said. "To see what's beyond their empires, beyond the Council, beyond the stars themselves." And far above, where the remnants of the alien fleet drifted among the asteroids, an automated beacon blinked. Its signal was simple, a warning meant for any surviving Empire ships. The message read, "Do not return to Earth." Humanity had turned the galaxy's greatest threat into its loudest silence. The Council watched, the surviving empires trembled, and every world that had once mocked Earth now spoke its name with careful respect. Because by the end of it all, one truth echoed through every corner of known space. Humanity did not conquer for power. They conquered for peace, and that made them unstoppable.